Hello guys, welcome back to the Mental Game podcast. I'm your host Nico Marther. I hope everyone's having a good week and day. It's been a week since I've uploaded an episode, and no excuses for my inconsistent nature. I was supposed to upload on Sunday, however, it was inconsistent, and I'm not going to give you any excuses, but that's it. But in today's episode, we're going to touch upon the growth mindset, which I've introduced to you guys during the last episode. And during the last episode, we talked about the growth mindset and how it's more powerful, especially in certain situations, as opposed to the fixed mindset. And I'm getting this all from a book which I mentioned during the last episode called The Growth Mindset. And let me just check who it's from. By Dr. Carroll, who's an absolutely brilliant author who just explains stuff so well and easily, and also it's so applicable to our daily lives, which makes it so useful to read and exciting to read as well. And in today's episode, I'm just going to touch upon one aspect of the growth mindset and where it could be implemented in our daily lives. As of recently, I watched a very good movie, and this movie is called The Smashing Machine. And it was with Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt, and a few other great actors. And essentially this movie was it was a sports drama about a UFC legend. And if you don't know what UFC is, it's Ultimate Fighting Championship, essentially mixed martial arts. And it showcased the biography, and not essentially the biography, but more the career of a famous UFC legend, a MMA fighter called Mark Kerr. And long story short, Mark Kerr was a fighter which experiences highs, experiences wins and successes, and also experiences lows where he lost and his failures. And essentially when he experienced those failures, what the movie shows is that he did not take those experiences too well. He started taking drugs, overdosing on drugs. His relationships with his girlfriend deteriorated. His relationship with his career, which was the fighting game, deteriorated. And essentially his quality of life just deteriorated. His happiness and all his positive qualities were no longer present and generated. So that was a crucial insight I got whilst watching the film. And it just sort of motivated the reason behind today's episode, and how failure needs to be looked at in a way where if we don't fail, there's no way to grow, essentially. If we look at failure as a do-all and end-all, as a blockage in our system, then we leave no room for ourselves to grow in any specific way. Say we fail in an exam, and then, once we get that mark and we see that F, we could either tell ourselves that, the world is ending. I have no hope. There's no hope that I'm ever going to become anything good. There's no hope that I'm going to become the person I want to become, and so on. You can keep reiterating those negative beliefs, those beliefs that one grade is the do-all and end-all, and it's dictating the whole motion of my life. Or on the other hand, when we initiate the growth mindset, we could view that failure as essentially, right, what can I learn from the situation? What can I change about my existence of so that I could do better next time, even a percentage higher, even 2% higher. It doesn't need to be 100%. It could be just 50, 60% higher, or even 2, 3%. What can I do better? And you essentially evaluating, looking at that failure as a time to grow. Looking at an opportunity to identify what improvements you need to make, how to make them. Are you on a path you want to be on? Can you change paths? And so on. It just leads to deep questions. It leads to yourself questioning your current stance in life. It leads to improvement. It leads to self-reflection and introspection. And that's what failure is supposed to do. Failure is supposed to initiate that level of introspection where you ask yourself those questions. Those questions to trigger growth, to trigger that motivation to become a better person, to become better at that specific activity or an event or so on. It's used as a triggering event. And that's what failure is essentially used for. And many people nowadays, and to be honest, sometimes myself including, I look at failure as a blockage in my system. And if I, for example, fail in something, whether that's at work, I'll start reiterating those negative beliefs in my brain and my thoughts, where essentially I start telling myself that I'm not capable, that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worthy of this company, and so on. But then as of recently, I started becoming aware of how I'm perceiving failures. And with the help of this book, and with the help of awareness and practice, I realized that failures, especially at work, can now be transformed into a positive. Where if I fail at work at maybe executing a certain thing, I could view failure as, a time to become more, a time to develop my knowledge, a time to connect with more people so that I can maybe develop my knowledge, utilize more resources, and, a time to essentially grow. So the point I'm making is that change in perception, especially when evaluating failures and understanding that failures are not the do-all and end-all. It's just an opening to a new pathway in your life, a pathway where you can question yourself, you can really improve and trigger that motivation to just grow. And that's my main message in today's podcast, really. Today's podcast episode is that if any of you guys out there feel like just imagine a stock graph. If you are just constantly going down, if you're constantly experiencing lows, I want you to just think about this. You cannot have highs if you don't have lows. And in the same way, you can't have wins if you don't have failures. And there are a bunch of people, especially famous people, successful people, who've said the exact same thing. Thomas Edison probably failed 1,000 times, even more than 1,000 times, during his line of work. I believe he did the light bulbs, if I got that wrong. If I failed at guessing what Thomas Edison worked as, then that's the time for me to go. But you get what I'm saying, really. It's many people, especially in their field, have failed many times. But the most powerful thing was their mindset and how they utilize their failures to develop a product which is so successful in today's world. So that's the end, to be honest, and I just want to put out that message. I'm going to label this podcast episode Growth by Failure, and I think that's a good labeling of this episode. And I hope people really take that and take it in and understand it, and really resonate with it. Thank you guys, and I hope everyone's having a good time at work, university, or wherever. And yeah, please put in a few comments as well regarding what you would like to see in the future, and if you would like to collaborate. See you guys, and have a great week and day. See ya. Bye bye.